Well guys, if you watched the build of Artemis, the airplane trailer, you know we've done some improvements, some upgrades along the way, and it's time for unlimited power upgrades to Artemis, the airplane trailer. So we've done some pretty cool things to this, but the creme de la creme is what I'm holding in my hand, and that brings up today's video sponsor, LiTime. All right, so a little backstory on how things worked out. If you guys followed along, we made Artemis and, we put together Artemis, the airplane trailer, we call it Artemis. And initially we had put a battery bank system into power everything. Now that battery bank system worked quite well. We had separate solar panels, so we'd plug them into the front of the trailer, and they were working pretty good. I was happy with it, and everything was okay. This year we had a real good chance to actually kind of test everything out. And what happened, hi Nez, was that we went to a trip and we had one cloudy day, and I had to run my generator for a little bit to power up the batteries, which was fine. And I really held off on installing solar panels on the roof of the trailer. I was worried about putting some holes through the roof, and that was my holdup. Made the decision not too long ago to put solar panels on the roof, go with an inverter, get the solar charge controller, do all that stuff, and we've got that installed already. So then it came time to figure out what we were going to do for batteries. Well, lo and behold, as things happen, LiTime reached out to me and was curious if I was interested in trying out one of their batteries. Well, perfect timing. I had been doing my research on my batteries, and this was the brand I was going to buy anyways. So it actually worked out very well. And so LiTime sent me this battery. It is the 140 amp hour battery. Now, a couple of the important things, it's from their Smart Group 31 battery selection. So initially, the battery was going to be a little bit of a different one, but because we're located in Canada in a colder climate, we needed the cold temperature shut off, and that's what this battery has. So lots of good features with this battery. So this video is going to be focused sort of on the solar system that we installed, but also just testing out the battery and seeing how things work. I'm really excited for this. Now, previously, with our separate battery banks that we were using, I think the calculations worked out with our primary setup and our secondary battery box setup that we had. I think we had 50 amp hours altogether, 25 per unit. This one is 140 amp hours, obviously way more capacity, and we may be adding an air conditioner to this in the future, and we could add like a 12 volt air conditioner. We could add another one of these batteries, and that should do very well with the air conditioner. So let's kind of review the system. We'll take a deeper dive into this battery and take a look at some of the features, and let's take a look at all the things that we accomplished so far. So all of our power distribution stuff is in the front. I'm going to review this briefly so you guys can see everything that's going on. So all of our power bank stuff, batteries and everything are going to be right in that front cabinet. It's already installed. We've already installed the solar panels, the inverter, the solar charge controller, and the battery was our final hiccup. So that stuff's all done. Now when we go to the front of the trailer here, we've got a shore power plug-in, and basically, when we get to the shop here, we plug it into shore power, and then we're just running off of standard 110 wall outlet power, which is perfect. With our previous system, we had this plug-in here for our solar panels. So we could plug in a portable bank of solar panels, put them into here, and set them either on the roof of the trailer, on the roof of our truck, and get some charging out of the portable solar panels. Now, one of the downsides with that was purely the lack of ability to charge while we were driving. So the way the rig is set up here, Artemis, is we've got a 12 volt refrigerator right there, and that's pretty much all that's running while we're driving. So with our previous bank, that 12 volt fridge would be running, we do an 8-hour trip or something like that. Our other battery bank that we had previously would be down to like 90%, something like that. And that one trip that I was talking about, we didn't have good sun. We were charging a bunch of our airplane batteries off of the other bank, and we were getting pretty low on battery power, which is why the reason for the change kind of came about. So what did we install? We installed 400 watts of, I think they're Renogy solar panels on the roof. Now there's two 200 watt panels. They are wired in parallel, so the amperage doubles, the voltage stays the same, I think. So those panels are putting out about 37 volts. Amps, of course, that all changes depending on the sun. So those panels come in through the ceiling right here. We've got a through fitting on the roof, and they come down and they go to our solar panel breaker, which is right there. So you can see they come to the solar panel breaker and they go down underneath the cabinet down below. So LiTime also has a great inverter lineup. We didn't go that route because I already had the Renogy one picked out. And the reason we went with the Renogy one is because when we plug into shore power, it's a uninterrupted power supply, so it's UPS. So it switches over right away to shore power. If we unplug shore power, it switches over again right away to using the battery bank. So that's why we have that selection that we do. All right, so that's the nuts and bolts of the equipment. We'll take a deeper dive as we get this installed, but let's talk about the battery. So LiTime reached out to me. We figured out which battery I needed. They put the order in, and within 2 days, the battery arrived. It was nutso fast. It was actually, I was shocked that it showed up so quickly. LiTime is committed to providing safe, reliable, and environmentally friendly lithium battery solutions that provide users with more efficient and convenient energy experience. So they've got a very large variety of products, over 70 products, 50 accessories, totaling over 120 products. So if you have a battery need, LiTime really has some great solutions for it. They've also got over 35 warehouses worldwide. So this one was actually shipped out of the Canadian warehouse, which was amazing because it arrived quickly. No duties, no tariffs, none of that stuff. It was fantastic. So battery arrived quickly. It was well packaged in the box, all wrapped up in foam and everything. They do come with some guides. So you've got your product manual and you've got a quick start guide. So good information in these. We've reviewed them as well too. One of the coolest things I like about these batteries is the app, or the Bluetooth app that works with it. So I've already downloaded it to my phone, and it's called LiTime. So I open up the app and I've got the battery plugged in there. It's called Artemis Heart. So we can open this guy up. You'll see that it was shipped with a 50% charge on it. There's all the information on it. So it tells you some very cool stuff, current voltage. This capacity that you see there, that's also the capacity, or that is the capacity remaining in the battery, which is great. We can go to balanced. It's all balanced. I like the little guys, or the little people there that show you exactly how things are going. So cell status, everything's good. Battery monitoring system, so there's electronics in these batteries. All is normal and good. So great information there, and yeah, the app's pretty cool. So I like that. So in doing my research, one of the cool things with lithium batteries in this scenario, and I'm very green at this, is your capacity here, so 140 amp hours, you can actually use all of that capacity. Unlike a lead acid battery, which is like a car battery or a typical RV battery, where you might be using, I think the number is like 30% or 50% of the available capacity. So if you have a 100 amp hour battery, you're only able to use 50 amp hours. So very different when you're using these guys. That's where that app really comes in, is you're able to see exactly how many amp hours are left. Now, going forward in predicting some of the future upgrades with Artemis is if we do add a rooftop AC unit, I'll probably get a 12 volt system that'll hook right up to the battery, so no inverter needed, and yeah, should be pretty awesome. And we could also add another battery, another one of these guys in parallel, and so the voltage will stay the same, but the capacity doubles. And that would be amazing. So yeah, just some future predictions here. So it's time to get this guy installed. All the battery hookups and everything have been done. We'll take a look at how I installed everything. Now, there's many different ways to do this stuff. So if you're doing an install, there's so much information online as to how to set up inverters, solar panels, systems. I didn't go crazy because I wasn't doing a huge battery bank, and I think it's going to be a great setup for what we use here. You got to keep in mind that we're using this battery for charging. If we're sleeping in the trailer here, we're running some lights, some fans. So we kind of went a little overboard on some stuff, but it allows us to future-proof Artemis and some of the plans we have in the future. All right, and so again, a pretty basic system here, nothing too crazy. I'll give you the basic rundown of how we've got everything set up. So we've got our 3,000 watt inverter. That's a big inverter for what we're actually going to need, but it's nice to have that big size. I didn't want to be lacking anywhere. Now we've got a couple different things going on with the inverter. So the bottom plug right there is the shore power input. So that's run underneath, goes to the shore power plug on the outside of the trailer. This plug right here is, this plug is actually going into the higher output of the inverter plug. So that comes to the junction box. There's obviously two plugs right there if we need them, but then those two BX cables, these guys right here, come out of that plug and they feed a couple different things. So number one, they feed over on this wall plug, which is our lights and power bar over there. The other thing they go up is they go up and feed our lights on the ceiling. And then we've got the opportunity to plug in something right there if we need to. Now we've got this plug here going into one of the inverter power outlets, and that plug goes to the other side of the trailer over there, and the other plugs on the other side of the trailer go into that section there. So that's how things are wired. We've got our battery set up for this location right here. Obviously our solar charge controller, that is a 30 amp MPPT charge controller, and it does have the Bluetooth device on it as well too. So the solar panels come into this guy, they go out to a fuse, that goes to the inverter right here, and that is also connected to the battery. So that lead comes out, goes to our 250 amp fuse, and this side, which is the hot side, that feeds the inverter, and then we also feed our 12 volt power supplies here. This lead comes over and goes to the battery itself. Additionally, we've got a 20 amp, 120 volt charger for the batteries. That's pre-done, so it's sitting over there. And this is kind of our on-off for that. So if I want to be charging, I can turn this on by closing the circuit. And if we want to turn it off, we just push the button. So that's what this setup right here is for. So that's pretty much it. The only thing running off of our 12 volts right now, or going to run off the 12 volts, is the fridge, which is a 15 or 20 amp breaker right there. And then we've got a smaller fuse here, sorry, fuse, not breaker. We've got a smaller fuse here, and that smaller fuse is for the LED lights, which go all the way around this entire compartment right here. So we can turn those LED lights on, and those are running off 12 volts as well, and we can see into this cabinet very nicely. Let's get our battery, our LiTime battery installed, and we'll see how things do. I don't suspect the solar is going to do much right now, but we'll see how things are performing. All right, now this isn't the final resting place for the battery. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of rearranging in this compartment, but we've got it hooked up now. Obviously negative, negative, positive, positive. So everything is off right now, which is good. So I'm going to turn on the power supply first. There we go, inverter starts up. So that's good. All of our power turned on. We've also got a remote here as well too, so we can turn this inverter off with the push of the button, or turn it on. So we're gonna come back on here. We're gonna turn our solar panels on. So those are now on. let's pull up our apps and see what we got going on. So first thing we'll take a look at is the battery. So we've got the battery. It's on discharging mode because it is powering the inverter. So right now we've got some lights on and everything. So we've got 14 amps coming out of the battery. Tells us our wattage coming out 181 watts, which is good. So let's open up our solar panels or our charge controller and see. So when we go to the Renogy app, that's got two different things on here. So it's going to have our charge controller and our inverter. So if we go to the charge controller, we have cloud cover right now. So right now our solar is producing 55 watts and battery charge watts is 53 volts. You can see there, that's the voltage of the battery, I think. And we've got battery charge amps. So it's pretty low right now. Yeah, there we go. That's what the panel's outputting. So 30.7 volts. Amps is 1.2, but the actual charge amps is 4. So that's our solar panel. So we're putting in 55 watts-ish. And right now with everything we're taking out, 166 watts. So this is the inverter, which tells us our output voltage, output amps, and there we go. So that's wonderful. Now what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the shore power. And what the shore power is going to do is that's going to switch the inverter over to passing through power from our plug-in on the wall. And it's also going to turn our charger on for our battery. And I want to get this thing charged up to 100%. So what I'll do is I'm going to leave you guys looking at the light there. I'm going to plug in to shore power and we'll see how the switchover goes. So we're plugged in. There we go. Quick little blink in the lights, but almost undetectable. So now we are running off of our inverter, but power's passing through the inverter. So now when we look at everything, we can see that the inverter is pulling nothing. So the inverter is not working at all. If we go to the charge controller is still doing its thing, same as before. But now if we go to the battery, we can see that the battery is charging. So right now we're putting 20 amps into the battery. That's the output of that charger. It's not a huge charger. It's putting in 260, 70-ish watts. And it says 3.4 hours to full charge, which is cool. So I definitely really dig all the smart stuff on these pieces of technology. Having the ability just to open up your phone is awesome. The way this is kind of laid out is all of that stuff that you just looked at is underneath one of the front bunks, beds, storage areas. So it's not overly easy to get at, and having the ability to open up your app and take a look at it is awesome. So while we're looking at upgrades, one of the other things we did quite a while ago actually is added a 30-gallon fuel station here in the trailer. So this is at the very back of the trailer. We've got a hand pump and everything. And this thing has been awesome. Number one, having the weight at the back of the trailer is great. Helps offset the weight. Number two, I don't need to carry around a whole bunch of fuel jugs when we're at an event for multiple days. So if we're going to like a week-long event, that 30 gallons plus my fuel jugs is amazing. It's a good amount of fuel, and it's easy to go to like a Jet A pump because it's got a big nozzle and just fill it up. So that's been great. I love that addition. I'm very happy that I did that in Artemis. All right, guys, so we're gonna let this thing charge to full capacity, and we'll come back and take a look at it and see what it does, see how it performs. Check out the app, you know, all that fun stuff. All right, guys, so it's a couple hours later, and I just want to share a couple things with you here. First of all, the cool thing is I'm standing inside the shop, and my trailer is about 10 feet away, and the Bluetooth signal is still working through the glass door, the wall, the trailer. That's impressive. I don't know if that's a normal thing, but I can't connect to my Renogy stuff, but this stuff I can connect to. So the battery just kind of finished not too long ago, and I just opened up the app to check this. So the balance thing is blinking, so you can see there your batteries are currently doing a balancing act to get to perfection. So that is cool. Yeah, so it shows all that stuff, which is good. So it's evening now, so we're not going to do anything else with the battery tonight, but what we're going to do is tomorrow I'm going to hook up a couple really high draw items to it, and we're going to drain it down and just kind of see how it works. You know, a normal scenario for us when we were running the other battery system or the box, we would, you know, have the lights on, run a couple chargers for a while, and, you know, by the end of the day, we might be down to 50, 60, 70%, depending on how many people were using my batteries. So I'm pretty excited with the solar system and that battery and everything. It's going to be, I think, a game changer. All right, guys, well, it's the next day, and we're going to do some stuff with our new battery. So I don't really feel like there's a need to drain the entire battery, recharge it. That's not really what I'm looking for. I'm kind of curious how this battery performs under our normal usage. So the trailer's been unplugged from shore power. Everything's running through the inverter right now, running off the battery. The sun's coming up now, so solar has kind of kicked in. So we're gonna get some things fired up here and just kind of see how things perform. I guess I'm kind of curious, you know, I'll do some discharging and then we will see if the solar recharges the batteries all by itself today, or the battery, sorry, all by itself today. So we'll see how that goes. So just some of our normal stuff here. I guess we should check the battery first. So we go to the app and it's been unplugged for a little bit because my microphone was charging. So we're at 98%, we're discharging 3.1 amps. That's because we've got the lights running for a little bit, so that's fine. So we'll go to our inverter next. So here's our Renogy stuff. So we've got solar, which is putting out a little bit right now. The sun's just coming up, so not doing too much. And we'll go to our inverter. So inverter's outputting 42 watts. So it's doing a little bit just to keep the lights running. So we're gonna fire some stuff up here and put this battery through its paces for a little bit. So we've got our normal battery charger here for some of our plane batteries. So these aren't necessarily big batteries, but I do need them charged, so why not use solar power and battery power. That'll make it easier to see. So first battery's charging, this right-hand one's charging. A will charge that up. There we go. So those are both charging and obviously pulling from the inverter. And just the charger is pulling 54 watts. We'll turn our light on here again. That's going to add about 40-50 watts, or about 100 watts. I also mentioned the LED lights, so we'll turn those guys on. We've got the remote here. So there we go, just use the remote to turn the lights on. So when this cabinet is closed and you're looking from this spot right down here, it actually is pretty awesome to see all those lights in there. So you can imagine how bright that is, it's great. All right, so I'm gonna turn our lights on here. Now these lights pull quite a bit of power. So each light I think is like 140 watts. So as soon as we turn those lights on, it's gobs of power. Also, I think it does funny things with the camera too, but we'll check our app here and see. So right now we've got our 3 big lights on, little light over there, charging 2 batteries. LED lights are pulling from the battery. So that's 12 volts, right? And we are pulling 510 watts of power. So 17% of our inverter capacity. And battery-wise, you can see there we're pulling about 500 watts and what is that, 40 amps. So pulling some good power from the batteries. Let's get a heat gun and crank this up a little bit. All right, so we've got this heat gun. It's a fairly peppy heat gun. It's 1200 watts. Now, one of the things about the way everything's wired here is our lights up top and this plug-in that the heat gun's going into is all on the same high output circuit on the inverter over there. So I don't know if this is going to pop the breaker on the inverter or what's going to happen, but we'll see. So we're going to turn the heat gun on and we'll see what happens in the inverter. So right now we're pulling 17%, 500 watts-ish out of the inverter. And let's turn the heat gun on and see what happens. All right, so as soon as I turn the heat gun on, the inverter fan turned on. So that was instant. I'll turn this off for a sec. You can probably hear the inverter fan. Probably have to refresh the screen. There we go. So right now we've got 1700-ish watts coming out of the inverter, 57%, pulling 14.3 amps. Let's go to the battery. So we're pulling 150 amps out of the battery is our current, wow, and 1900 watts. That's pretty cool. So real world test for me is I'm gonna run this battery down to about 80% and we'll just leave the heat gun running for a little bit, leave the lights running, run it down to 80%. And I just wanna see how the solar charges everything up from 80%. Does it take, you know, hours? Does it take an entire day? I don't know. So right now we're 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:01 there if you can see on the camera or the phone. So throughout the day, we'll keep an eye on this. I don't think it's gonna take very long to get it to 80%. So we'll say maybe we start about 8:15, something like that. And we'll come back and report throughout the day and see how things pan out. So once we get the battery to that 80%, I'm gonna turn all these big lights off and we'll just leave kind of our normal stuff running. So we'll leave this light running, leave the charger plugged in, and we'll come back and take a gander and see. All right guys, so we're at 8:06 right now. We're at 82%, and yeah, that's where we're at. So we're almost there, 81%. Now, one thing to note, if you're pulling 2000 watts or you have a 2000 watt inverter, this battery is actually a little bit small. So we're seeing the voltage drop a reasonable amount in the battery, but for a test like this, it's okay. All right, just to confirm, we're at 8:15. Right now, solar's putting in 64 watts. We're using 140. And our battery, just so everybody can see it, is at 78%. So we're a little bit below the 80%. So we'll see what happens. We'll come back later today. All right, guys. Well, we had a great day flying yesterday, and the LiTime battery was absolutely phenomenal. It's super bright out right now. So I'll take you inside the trailer and we'll do some final thoughts here. All right, well, I was very impressed with that LiTime battery yesterday. Cool little magnet that they sent with me as well. And it worked out phenomenal. So I had everybody charging at the field yesterday, using the power in the trailer. It was awesome. So very happy with that lithium battery from LiTime. Thank you, LiTime, for allowing me to review and check out this battery and also add it to our upgrades here in Artemis, the airplane trailer. Such a game changer setup for this trailer, and it's just going to be awesome in the future here. So if you guys are interested in some of the stuff that we added to the trailer, I'll put some links down below. The Verver fuel tank in the back, I actually ordered it directly from Verver, but you can order that from Amazon as well too. No links for that, but the LiTime stuff, I'll put that in the video description down below, as well as the first comment in the video. So I encourage you guys, if you are thinking about this kind of setup, whether it's in a van or an airplane trailer or even your RV, definitely check out their batteries. They've got a whole bunch of amazing batteries, different sizes, different amp hours, different functions, and I've been impressed so far. I know it's only been one trip to the airplane field for flying, but everybody was charging all day on my stuff, left the lights on and everything, and barely used any battery. The solar just charged it. It was great. Great experience. Very happy with it. So I encourage you guys to check that out. Thanks for watching the channel, guys. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next video.